I once again left my notebook at school, so here we are this way. I think it works out. Actually, honestly, I could use feedback from you guys about whether you prefer me handwriting or typing. Um, I don't know if it matters really, but if you have a strong preference one way or the other, it would be great to just tell me whether you like it this way better or whether you like it when I write about better. Also, if you're getting this, not Ashley, sorry, Abby and Addie, I really need you two to fill out the officer form that I sent out. So if you guys could do that for me, that would be fantastic. All right, everybody else, here we are. We're culminating, or we're sort of finishing up this last chunk of the Vergil, which is, of course, it started with Aeneas running into Troy, disguising himself, getting caught into the crossfires of that sort of triple storm effect that he had. Um, Seeing Cassandra getting ripped out of the temple, losing just about everybody, watching the destruction of Troy, seeing that vivid attack of the Greeks taking on the last tower of Troy, Aeneas sneaking in a secret way in the back door, Aeneas tipping over a tower, and now Aeneas seeing the most private and sacred innermost family space of the royal family being completely desecrated. And this is, of course, the end of Priam and the end of Troy. Um, this is a very moving piece. It's very emotional for him um, because even though this is not currently happening, uh, it is an event that he has to retell. People have actually talked about PTSD in soldiers and what Aeneas must have been feeling when he recounted the story. Vergil himself fought in wars and in battles, and Rome itself had been through 100 years of civil war. So many of the older men would have felt the same way when recounting stories of the death of their comrades in war. So when we're looking at this, understand that it is from that perspective that Vergil would have had of someone who had been in battle and seen the collapse and what that felt like. So there's a lot of emotion here for everybody, not just Aeneas, right? So let me go through this. We had this in Sequitur, and now, oh, I should say, don't forget, this is the two people that are being talked about right now. We have Polites and Pyrrhus. You guys remember Pyrrhus is Neoptolemus. That is the son of Achilles. And then we have Polites, who is the son of Priam and Hecuba. So Polites is running in. He's been wounded by Pyrrhus somehow. And he's trying to escape him. And he runs into this temple, what should have been a safe space, right? Everybody feels that home should be a safe space, but this, of course, is not the case. Pyrrhus runs after him. And I think we ended last class with this. We have this anaphora. You remember anaphora is the repetition of a word or phrase. So we have this anaphora of the yam yam, anaphora, and that is driving this motion. This repetitiveness is like this, fast acting, like it's happening right now. Okay, so it's supposed to make the scene sort of explode into our vision. We also, Vergil doubled down with the chiasmus of the Manu tenet premet hasta. So that's ABBA right there. That's chiasmus. Almost like a word picture because he's reaching out. Pyrrhus is reaching out with his hand, trying to snatch this guy, and he's stabbing him with the spear, and he's just trying to kill him. Um, all right, and now we sort of split focus into the Oot tandem. I think I did 530 with you guys last class. So he's following him now, and now he's stretching out with his hand, and now he presses with the spear. All right, so let me try annotating. Do this. All right, so Ut tantum, let's just say at last. At last, he wasn't. Um, he like I don't want to say escapes. Like he evades or he breaches, he becomes, he there's a better way to say it than that. What would I say? It's like let's say escape. He escapes. Oh, I can't this right. Come on. He escapes ante oculos before the eyes. Okay, so there's no spell check on this. You guys are or the eyes, and he conceded, he falls. Ora literally means mouth, but in this case, it means face, and he falls before the face of his parents because Priam and Hecuba are both there, right? All right, hold on. Before the, excuse me. I swear these laptops are the worst. All right, so he falls before the the faces of his parents. And all that means is that he is, he makes it to them and then collapses. Okay. And that's the conquista. By the way, when you delay that final word or phrase, do you guys remember? That's called enjambment. So we've had a couple of cool things here. You guys have had enjambment, you've had anaphora, you've had chiasmus. All right. So it's always good to remember what those terms mean as we talk about this. Sorry, I have to plug in my laptop. Okay. Um, he falls before the parents and he's going to die. Okay. And even in the Roman times, it was considered rude to kill your enemy's child in front of them. Okay, and that's what's happening to Priam here. Oh, and that's going to be part of the conflict. All right, there we go. Sorry. Now I can finish the video. Okay, so um and that's the ak. And he fundit means to pour out, and he try that again. Pours out vitam, his life, cum sanguine multa, with much blood. So Priam and Hecuba see their son die in front of them. And it was not a pleasant death. All right, and so Priam's going to respond to this, right? Hic here, Priam. Now, look at how he puts this sentence together. Quamquam means although tenetur, the last verb, is held, although it's passive, held, yam, now, in media morte, in the middle of death. Because dude's gonna die, right? Okay, and he knows it. Everything is gone. The last thing to take, even the Romans did this. You killed off the head guy. That's what you did. So, although he is held now in the middle of death, look at this word picture and this alliterative effect of the in media morte. Okay, you've got Priam on one side of the line, we've got tenetur on the other, and you have this middle death in the middle. Sort of emphasizing again the hopelessness of Priam's situation. All right. This line is kind of obnoxious. Non tamam abstenuit, nequoque iraque perpircit. And what it's saying is at this point, Priam just lets loose. He absolutely is like no holds barred, not holding back. He's really pissed off because he doesn't like what all right, so here we go. Not now, non-tamen. It's like tandem. They're kind of these post positives. Um, they go at the beginning of a line, but they almost don't need to be translated really. I guess you could say no longer. I think I've said that before. No longer does he, in this case, Priam, does he abstenuate? Does he hold back? The non-neck means neither nor. Um, back his voice nor per nor like save not save though, like refrain from nor refrain from his anger. Okay, and so he is raging. He's very upset, well, as you would be, right? So not Tom, and this is actually when we have this woki iraque. It's a rhetorical device called, and I might put this in a different color. Hold on. I could do this in dark red. I'm going to try this. Let's see. It is, let me spell this right. I wrote it out because I know me. Right. Hendiadys. Okay. And what this means is when you use two words, in this case, it is voice and anger. Instead of saying angry voice, you use two words separated by a conjunction, and it's called hendiadys. And it's used to emphasize the emotion, okay? Rather than just saying he used his angry voice to rip into Pyrrhus, he's like, he did not hold back his voice nor his anger. And it makes the situation more impactful, or at least it's supposed to be. All right, the reader is like, whoa, all right, so it's a bigger, more intense, what the heck? A more intense emotion. than just by saying the other one. So that's another cool one. So on top of all the others that we've had in this, let me remind you guys, you've had anaphora. Remember where anaphora is? You've had enjambment. Okay, remember where enjambment is? Sweet mother monkey mo and you've had chiasmus. Holy jeepers creepers. Hold on one second. All right. Let's see. I don't think I can actually go down. I think I have to delete all this stuff. All right, so I'm going to delete this, and then we're going to go down, and we're going to see what, because Priam's about to launch into his great speech. Okay, so see if I click this, or if I go, how do I? Oh, came out. No, wait, I go to the pointer icon. There we go. And then I have to erase all this stuff. Swear every year I've got to remind myself how to do this. Okay, so here we are. I'll click that. We are now at the sync. At Tibby. Okay, and so Priam's pretty honked off. That's an understatement, right? So at Tibby means but for you. Okay, Tibby's a nice dative there. But for you, Tibby is always dative. And it's always going to be translated to or for you. And it's a type of attack too. Um, because Priam is making this personal, right? He's like, for you. You could actually say that. Well, that's what I did say, so that works out. But for you, pro scilere. Pro in this case means on account. Oops. On account of such scilere wickedness. Wickedness? Is that how you spell wickedness? I don't know. Pro talibus ossis. And there's no and in there, so this is a little bit of a syndeton where they take away the conjunctions, but we could say on account of talibus ossis, such daring, but daring in this case meaning like more than rude, like hostile attack. On account of such daring attacks, he shouted. That's the exclamation. So there we go. So Priam is like, but for you, on account of such wickedness, on account of such daring attacks, he shouted. All right, D. And all of this is actually, we're entering into just a series of subjunctive verbs. So the current, the persoleon, the redon, all of those are subjunctive. And they're there because he's wishing for Pyrrhus to be cursed by the gods, basically. And because that's a wish, it's not something that's emphatic. It's not something that we know is going to happen. It's like, may you be cursed by the gods. And that's a use of the subjunctive. So, may the gods, try that again. That's the D. If, whoops, try that again. If, quia, and after si, nisi, num, and ne, all the alleys fall away. We've talked about that before. Let me put this after si, nisi, num, and ne. All the alleys fall away. Okay, what that means is that this quia, because it's si quia, is actually si aliquia. The difference is aliquia means someone or anyone. Okay, so if there is, and that's, oops, okay, so if there is any one God, quia, pietas, for whom there is a care of piety, of like pietas means piety, but it doesn't mean piety in the way that we think of it. It means duty, honor, loyalty to your family, loyalty to your gods and your country, to all of those things that you're supposed to hold dear. Could also mean compassion in this case. If there is anyone for whom piety, there is a care, because the Talia got to fit in there for it's weird the way to fit that in there. If there is anyone for whom piety is a care, or if such things, let me try to make this better. Is there a better way to say that? Hold on. If there, all right. May the gods, if there is anyone Kylo, I actually just dropped that one, in heaven, who has a care or a who like there's got has a care for such things. It's probably a better way to say that. But that's what he's saying. If there's a God out there that has any sort of care at all for the accountability of your actions, okay, per solvent. Again, both per solvent and redant are in the subjunctive. May they, um, what did I say for per solvent? May they like grant or may they give? Oh, all right. May they pay back. May they pay back. Gratias dignas. Worthy honors. Worthy honors. And may they return, understood to you. Oh my gosh, I don't have, what does it say? Primea, uh, owed rewards. This is very Roman way of saying things. They're like, I hope you get everything that's coming to you. All right, that could be seen in a good way or a bad way, right? I mean, because you can say, man, you deserve nothing but the best. I hope it all comes to you. Or you can say, you're a rotten scumbag. I hope you get what's coming to you, right? And in this case, Priam is very clearly stating, I hope you get what's coming to you, in not in a positive way. Okay. Quia, you who. Okay, so the quia here is just a you who, not the drink. You who. Okay, and you have to go down to the faciste on the line below. Okay, you who made me, see the may, who made me, canary, watch the death of my son, and fodaste. Fodaste is it's a syncopated verb form. Should be fodas. Well, let me try this again. Fodastawi. All right, notice the AV had been dropped out of that. That's for scansion purposes almost always. And you who it means to like befoul. It's funny when I read Latin, I always go to like these archaic terms like befoul. I'm like, is there a better way of saying that? I can't even think. We'll just say befoul. All right. Befoul? Befoul. Oh my gosh. Befoul. Oh, okay. And you who putrefy is not the right word. All right, we're gonna go with defile. Sorry to look it up. Defile's the best one. Okay. And defile, um, vultus patrios, a father's face with a funeral. All right, because parents shouldn't see their children die. Even in the Roman times, it was not something that any parent that was always, uh, you should never have to see your child die. So Priam is calling him out, not just for killing his son, but for killing his son in front of him. All right, so that was extremely rude. Rude's not quite enough term, but you know what I mean. Okay. That's actually the next two lines. So quia you who, I guess coram, I forgot to say that face to face. Okay, you who made me watch the death of my son, literally in front of my face, and defile a father's face for the funeral. Okay, so you made me watch this. And not just from a distance, you made me watch it up close. That's what the coram, all right, means. It's like face to face. In my personal bubble, you made me have to do this. All right, scroll down, and I think we're almost done with this speech. All right. He's now going to sort of have interesting things to say about Pyrrhus's lineage. So that's always good. All right. So yeah, I can almost get this in. Let me just do this one. But not he. Okay, and the Ille here is referring to Achilles. So what he is saying is there's no way you're the son of Achilles. Okay, because Achilles didn't do this. As savage as Achilles was, he never did that. All right. Um, but not ooh, that one. And then you pick up the quote from whom you mentiris means you lie. It's a deponent verb. So it's not like you are being lied, it's like you lied. From the one from whom you lied um about satumte is literally about your birth. So it's like whom you lied about being your father. There's really no better way to say it than say being your father. Achilles. ACHI. Oops, and I still spelled it wrong. All right. So he's telling him, it's like, you lied about your parentage because Achilles didn't do that. All right. And okay, again, what Priam is mentioning here, he made such things in the enemy, in his enemy Priam. Okay. Uh, and what Priam is reminding him of is something that we've talked about in class, where after the death of Hector, and Achilles had strung Hector's body to the back of his chariot and dragged it around the walls of Troy. He dragged it 3 times a day, 3 times a day. So Hector's body was being horribly desecrated. And of course, for the Greeks and the Romans, a proper burial was essential. If you did not have a proper burial, your soul was tormented to walk the earth forever. So Priam and Hecuba not only had to watch their eldest and best son die, they had to watch his body being desecrated time and time again, 3 times a day. And Priam sneaks out of the palace in the middle of the night, unarmed, with no guards, basically, and goes into the Greek camp and to the tent of Achilles and begs for his son's body back. And Achilles, at that point, could have ended the whole war. If Achilles had taken out his sword and killed Priam, that was it. Game over. Troy's done. Okay. Achilles could have done that, but Achilles didn't. Achilles sees Priam's tears and actually sees him as a father and as a person. And they have a moment where they both recognize their own humanity, for lack of another word. It's really one of the more touching scenes in the Iliad. And Achilles not only gives Priam Hector's body back, but gives him safe passage back to Troy. And that was, I'm sure, even for the Greeks and the Romans, like, what are you doing? You, why would you do that? But it's because Achilles recognized that Priam was a mourning father. So he recognized Priam's fatherhood before his like rulership, if that makes sense. And the father was more important than the ruler. Um, and giving parental rights back to a father was critical. So it's really interesting, the whole scene. So, but that's what Priam's referring to here. He's like, not even your dad pulled this crap. Okay. Um, so you who lied about your father being Achilles, okay, that one, Achilles, all right, he made such things in his enemy and me Priam. And like he was there, they obviously they met face to face, right? Um, but he, okay, erubrit means to grow red, like to blush, but he blushed, okay, um, because of the just ora et fidem, for the justness and the trust here is probably best of the suppliant. So the supplices means suppliant, and it means like someone who's begging for something. A suppliant, you often see it in churches. You act as a suppliant, you're praying for something, or you're being respectful. Okay, you're respectfully requesting something, and it's an extreme. It's not just like, hey, mom, can I have the car? It's a bigger deal. All right, so that's what a suppliant is. But he blushed at the justness and trust of the sub. Oh my gosh, how do you spell suppliant? I think I wrote this down. I did not write this down. Suppliant. Hold on. Maybe it's on another page in here. This is awful. Suppliant. Oh, suppliant. I don't think that's right, but you guys are just gonna have to deal with it. All right. Um, and okay, Quay here, and he redidit, he returned. Hectorum corpus exsangue all go together. Okay, and he returned the bloodless body of Hector, sepulchro, to the tomb, which means that he allowed Hector's body to be buried, which was critical for his parents, right? It was the last thing they could give their son. Okay. Um, and he returned the bloodless body of Hector to the tomb, for the tomb, even. Okay. I.e., Priam can bury his son. Okay. And, okay, look here. All right. And Quay, he sent me into my kingdom, unharmed, unspoken. All right. So listen, this was a big moment. And it was a touching scene in the Iliad. And it's of course repeated here. This isn't going to go well. Pyrrhus, well, Pyrrhus has a clap back. Okay, and that's basically it for the next uh few lines. One other thing I'd like to point out, there's a lot of anaphora in here. When I look at this line to actually, even if we go up a little bit, see here to this, yeah, feciste et patrios fodasti funere. The sound of the sound is this hissing, spitting noise. It's a little bit of assonance, a little bit of alliterative effect. Again, you can almost hear the anger in the spitting, like when someone gets really angry and they start to spit because they're just like, pss, 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 they're so pissed off the words are being enunciated and they can't control like their vocabulary. They're just again and again. So with that line particularly, I should have mentioned it at the time. I sort of forgot, but I'm looking here at this again. Let me go down. All right, the feciste at Patrios Fodasti Funere, and you see this and the focus on the funeral and the Fodasti because it's Fodasti is a defiling. All right, um, it's a terrible thing to do to someone. So Priam is really letting him have it there. Okay. Almost again with that coram canere when you have that the harshness of the vowel or the consonantal sounds and that just repetition of the hammering home of you made me watch this, you put this in front of my face, you broke oaths, you did all these horrible things. All right, so there's a lot going on in those lines, but that's it. I'm going to stop the video now. All right, so we'll have a homework quiz on Tuesday. All right. And the Addie and Abby, don't forget to fill out the form. All right, thank you guys. Have a great weekend.